let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it!
Welcome back to Mind and Magic. It's been a pretty crazy time around here lately. We had been in a drought. Everything was burning and drying up with a string of 100-degree temps. I was keeping my lawn alive by my irrigation system, but we were in desperate need of rain. And so I called the rain, which if you have been following this channel for a while, you know is a last resort. And this time the rain really came. A record-breaking 9.5 inches of rain in just 6 hours overnight. According to my rain gauge, the news says it was more like 11. This, of course, caused widespread flooding throughout the region. I stayed up all night, wet vacuuming over 400 gallons out of my garage. My wet vac is 16 gallons, and I emptied it 26 times, so that's like 416 gallons. And I floor squeegeed probably another 200 gallons out as well. The basement had taken on some water also, including my temple, but the damage was minimal. The houses down the street, though, were completely submerged. They had water up to their windows. Cars were floating around. One person's shed in their backyard ended up in their front yard. It's a real mess. And you may ask, well, Frater, if you could call the rain, why can't you stop the rain? And the answer is I did and I do. But everything's on a delay. When I call the rain, it don't start raining immediately. It takes a while for it to build up. And the same goes for stopping it. It just doesn't stop immediately. It rained for over 6 hours. And then it stopped. But by that time, it's too late. And I don't know what it is about weather magic. I don't know if it's something I just haven't figured out yet. But it never ends up in a gentle rain. It's always some ridiculous amount of rain and or storm damage associated with it. When it comes to weather magic, what you call for, you get a lot of. So we've been cleaning up ever since, and it's put me even further behind. But I feel fortunate. Had I not stayed up all night with the wet vac, it would have been a lot worse. And other people did get it a lot worse. But that's not exactly what I wanted to talk about today. That's just what's been going on. Today I wanted to talk about the difference between polarity and being angry. Although they often do go hand in hand, there is a difference. Someone had written a comment on the Georgia Guidestones video saying, "Didn't realize this would polarize you, Frater," which tells me that people still aren't grasping the nature of polarity, even after all this time of me talking about it. Polarity is just magnetics. That's all it is. And as such, you're either attracted or repelled by that which is polarizing you. Now, anger is something that you can feel while you're being polarized, but it is not polarization itself. It is an emotion. It is not magnetics. When you're polarized, you immediately react because of the magnetics. Cancel culture SJWs are a prime example of being polarized. They're immediately triggered and flip out. Now, my video response, even though it was a rant, was very well planned and thought out. So there is a difference between being pissed and being polarized, though I do admit that I do have an opinion, I do have a bias when it comes to saving the planet. And it's not even for me. We don't have children, so I'm not leaving it behind for anyone. As far as I'm concerned, you can crumple up the planet and throw it over your shoulder like an old beer can. Now, I prefer that not to happen for all of you. I prefer life to go on. But humanity is very self-destructive. And I'm afraid that if we don't heed what the Georgia Guidestones is telling us, this planet is going to have some very rough times ahead. If you think things are bad now, this is nothing compared to the misery that awaits if we as a species cannot get ourselves back into balance. That's just this old wizard's opinion. And as I said, I don't have a very vested interest in the outcome, except maybe in another incarnation or something, which may or may not happen or even be needed. The point is, I'm in my 50s now. I'm not going to be around forever. I don't have any children to leave the planet in good shape for, so do with it what you will. But you can't say that I didn't do my best to warn people. With the tiny platform that I have, it's up to everyone else to share that video when it comes out on YouTube. So I was a little angry in that video, and if you want to say that I'm polarized against anything, then I would be polarized against ignorance. We're all here to gain knowledge. I suppose one of my pet peeves would be people who spout off about that which they know nothing. And this was more than just spouting off. This was, acting upon it, which is domestic terrorism, by the way. You can't just go around blowing up things you don't like. The same people considering this guy a hero for blowing up the Georgia Guidestones were crying and upset when their statues were being defaced and torn down just a couple years ago. Didn't Trump put into place something where somebody gets 10 years minimum if they deface or tear down a statue or monument? This person should get the same sentence. They should get 10 years minimum. Again, that's just my balanced opinion. What's good for the goose should be good for the gander. And it's not so much that they blew it up, it's that they blew it up out of ignorance. They destroyed it not even knowing what it stood for or meant. They did it thinking they were some kind of freedom fighter against the Illuminatos or something, against the NWO, and at the base level, against Satan, against the devil. Because that's what these people are taught, that the devil's behind everything. The only thing you could say that the devil's behind is imbalance. So if you want to say I'm polarized, fair enough, that's fine. But it's against the ignorance, just the sheer ignorance of destroying something that is trying to save you. The Guidestones were just a guide on how to keep the earth going in perpetuity in the age of modern medicine that keeps people living well into their 80s. In the modern age where a single death is totally unacceptable. There are tragedies for sure, but there's not enough people checking out and too many people checking in. The birth rate is still up because we've had it easy for far too long. A hotel can only book so many rooms before there are no vacancies. The same is true with the planet. But the first to lose their rooms are going to be the wildlife in the forest. Those will get plowed under first. And it could be decades, it could be centuries, but eventually a tipping point will be crossed. We're already running out of honeybees, and if honeybees don't pollinate the crops, then people don't eat. And I'm not trying to freak people out or anything, that's not what I intend to do. What I'm getting at is that everything is in balance together, and when one thing gets thrown out of balance, it throws everything else out of balance. Life itself is a delicate balance. And if that balance isn't maintained, well, I don't think I have to elaborate on that. You already know the answer. So that's it for today. I've gone on about this long enough. So you can get angry without being polarized. You're only polarized if you react immediately and freak out. It took me over a week or so to make that video, perhaps longer, to gather my thoughts and think it through and then record it. But I did it for content. I got to make a video about something. It may as well be that. If I didn't need the content, I probably wouldn't have talked about it at all. People's ignorance does annoy me, however. So there you go. Like and share this video or not. Check out my social media. I'm not on there all that often, but I do occasionally post something from time to time. And of course, check out the website, mindandmagic.com. for a host of magical programs and courses. I want to thank you for joining me, and I'll see you soon. Take care.